In the fabled land of Northern California, nestled in the Valley of Sacramento, two friends begin a journey to enlighten the world about their experience living life as a Xennial. But what is a Xennial, you may ask? If you wish to know, then follow them on their adventures.
And welcome to the Xennial Chronicles. This is James.
This is Mike.
And we have a kind of special episode today, seeing that it's going to come out on July 4th, Independence Day.
Oh, yeah, it is, huh?
Or as I like to describe it, lots of noise day, keep the kids happy, and don't let the dogs go nuts.
Yes.
I will admit I am the party pooper when it comes to fireworks. Anybody that knows me knows that I am not a fireworks lover. I've had dogs in some capacity my entire life, either my own dogs or my parents' dogs. And
yeah, for sure.
4th of July has always been a day of hell for anybody with dogs.
It can be. I mean, stay inside. That's pretty much it. We keep I like to keep the dogs under control. I really don't like leaving the house on the 4th of July because of it now as an owner of multiple dogs.
Yeah.
But I don't really like... If I didn't have them, I wouldn't mind going out and see a fireworks show. You know what I mean?
Well, you and I both have smallish dogs.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to, when I was growing up, my parents had medium to large size dogs.
Yeah, totally.
And so dogs that size will shred a fence. If they're having too much noise, they will
they will lose their minds.
Yeah,
so keep them inside, keep them comfortable.
Yeah,
if you happen to have
cool.
pets.
I also have 3 children one specifically actually who does not like the fireworks. Of course, we were stupid enough to put her in the bedroom that is that has a window facing the street. So we have to be mindful every year when this comes down. But she's gotten better at it as the years have progressed. It just still irritates her.
That's good.
But yeah, it's the day where everybody loves to go out and blow crap up and drink lots of alcohol and for some reason barbecue. It's like Memorial Day is the same thing.
Well, except for the Memorial Day is the same thing without the fireworks.
Yeah, they just like all the barbecuing, which is amusing to me.
That's cool. Yeah, America.
But yes, well, see, that's kind of the point of both of Memorial Day, Veterans Day. Those two, I never have touched on those ones in our discussions. Have
no,
I?
No, we haven't necessarily. We did because didn't we have a didn't we have a Memorial Day one that we were talking about? And there's a big difference between Memorial Day and Veterans Day.
I don't know if that was on the podcast or if that was just a personal conversation between the two of us.
Oh,
but just to clear up, just so that people know what we're discussing here, on Memorial Day, you are thankful and grateful for the people who lost their lives in combat, while they were in the military in combat, not necessarily just like they were in the military and they got in a car accident at home. That's a whole different deal.
Yeah.
I'm talking about in combat, in theater, actually doing something.
Yeah.
Veterans Day is for anybody who has served and was honorably discharged. Not dishonorably. You don't get to be the veteran status if you're dishonorably discharged. Right. Sorry. If they are dishonorably discharging you, they're saying you're not one of us anymore. You've done something bad.
Yep.
You've screwed up. But anybody that's been honorably discharged or is retired or whatever, those are your veterans. Those are the people you thank them for their service on Veterans Day.
Yep.
You do not thank them on Memorial Day because they are still alive.
Now, remember, those veterans are going to be spending that Memorial Day as well. They're going to remember their fallen brothers and sisters that have served and
people that they may have watched.
Yeah,
that happened too.
And I mean, not to get crazy dark on this, and we didn't necessarily intend it, but that's why you keep Memorial Day separate from Veterans Day. And there are a lot of people that still promote thank a veteran. You probably shouldn't on Memorial Day because it's not their day. It's the day that they are also, as Americans and as veterans, using to celebrate the lives that they had with their. Some of them, they would consider them their fallen heroes.
Yeah.
And that's their time. It can be very, very somber. So you have to be very discerning and very careful between the two. It can be complicated, though.
And this is coming from, I know where Mike is coming from. He has a couple of friends that are, for the most part, mutual friends with me that have lost people in combat while they were in combat as well.
Yes.
And I'm sure they've had the discussions with him at different points or another that even if not the discussions, he just has known from being able to see and watch what they do. Yeah. That's a day that is important to them because they're remembering those people that they didn't get to bring back with them.
Yeah.
And that's especially for Mike and I who have not been in the military, neither one of us have served. We try to be as respectful, both of us, as we can for that because they did something we didn't want to do.
Yeah.
We didn't do. And so, they're still people like the rest of us, but Those are days that are meant for them.
Yeah, exactly.
Now,
And
4th of July.
I take both of those days extremely seriously.
They should be. Now, 4th of July. This is a different one. This is one that's more for all Americans.
Yes.
Although it is funny in the sense that if you ask any kid, you ask most adults, what do they tell you that the 4th of July symbolizes? It's Independence Day, but what does that mean? Why do we celebrate Independence Day on the 4th of July?
Isn't that the day the Declaration of Independence was signed? Or
False.
No, was it written? Why is it July
False.
4th then?
Because we are told to believe.
I honestly don't know that.
Exactly. I figured you didn't. We are told to believe that it happened on July 4th.
Wait, didn't it happen in like September though?
The first signing on it was actually, or the writing of it was actually July 2nd, and that's when independence was declared. They
declared on July 2nd.
When they declared it. The first signature was done on July 4th. Which signature was that?
I don't know. I do not know that.
Okay, don't quack me out because it's a name. John Hancock. Which is why, of course, when you
don't have to tell me not to do that. You don't set yourself up like that. It's
the humor of it, sir. When I listen to this later, I'm going to laugh at the little joke I just made. Nobody else will, but I will, and that's what's important.
Okay.
Anyway.
Fine.
John Hancock, which is, of course, why we ask for somebody's John Hancock. That is truly an American thing, by the way. You ask a European for their John Hancock, they have no idea what you're talking about, and they wonder if that's an extra special service on top of their massage. But anyway.
Stop it.
Anyway, I'm bringing levity to this because you were worried about my take on these things to be a serious subject.
Yeah.
So I'm bringing some levity, okay?
Okay, fine.
Okay. So John Hancock did sign on July 4th.
Yes.
The rest of the signatures, you are right, it was more around September. I don't remember the exact date, but it was around September when all the final signatures were put on the Declaration of Independence.
But that doesn't mean that's incorrect, sir, because on July 4th was when the Declaration of Independence was signed. It was when it was signed. It was signed by John Hancock.
But
it was signed at that point.
But basically, it's just a made-up day like almost any other holidays where they've decided to choose this day to make it happen. Because if we really want to celebrate our independence,
no, not necessarily.
We should do it on the 2nd.
They just scheduled it to be signed at that point. No, that was when the document was finished being written. There's a difference.
To me, that's more important than the signing of it. But I guess lawyers and landlords would think otherwise.
I was going to say.
Anyway, so...
That's when the contract is valid, sir.
We celebrate this July 4th, this Independence Day. Do you remember the joke when you were a kid? What do people in England do on July the 4th?
No,
they don't do anything because it's just a day for them.
Of course.
Although I did have
I saw a meme actually. Speaking of the 4th of July, it says how Americans celebrate the 4th of July in Britain, and he's taking a bottle of Lipton iced tea and pouring it in the river.
Nice. I actually had a friend who was British. He was actually, his family was originally from India, but they had moved to England. He grew up in London.
Cool.
And then he had moved over here to America to go to school.
Okay.
It used to be a lot of fun to talk to him because at work, because he was a coworker of mine at the Orange Apron place.
Okay.
And it was fun to talk to him at work, especially very loudly.
Yeah.
He had a very, very thick Cockney accent.
Cool.
Really, really hard for some people to understand some of the stuff he was saying. Huge fan of trying to think of the anime show.
Dragon Ball?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Huge Dragon Ball fan.
Nice.
Gigantic Dragon Ball fan. He was trying to get me into it for the longest time. But we'd get around the 4th of July every year.
Uh-huh.
And I'd start saying, "Hey, isn't it time for you to go home? Isn't it time for you to go back to your home?" Now this guy is he's Indian.
I was going to say he was born in India, but he was raised in Britain.
His family was from India. He was born in Britain. Maybe I wasn't clear about that.
Okay.
He was born in Britain. He was born in London. He lived in London until he moved to the U.S.
Okay.
So his family is Indian, and he obviously looks Indian.
Obviously.
But he considers himself British.
That's
100%
funny.
British.
So you're making British jokes to a guy that looks like he's Indian.
Yes.
So it looks even worse on the surface.
Especially in the area up in the area that I'm doing it in.
Yeah.
Because of the large Indian population.
The Sikh community there.
Yes,
huge
Sikh community there. And so you'd have some people looking at me funny, and even the coworkers would be like, "What the heck are you doing?" I'm like, "He's British." "Well, no, he's Indian." "No, he's British." Ask him. He goes, "Yeah, I'm British." It's like... And I would tell him...
For some reason, I just imagine he just sounds like Jason Statham.
Almost, actually, except well, not as like. Okay, have you ever seen the movie Spy?
No.
Spy with Melissa McCarthy?
No.
Oh, damn. Because he sounds like Jason Statham does in that movie. He's
That's
not
fantastic.
Really, he doesn't really sound that cool in that movie. He actually sounds a little bit like a loser. Because he is. He's like an almost loser spy.
Oh.
It's very
That
funny.
makes me want to see that movie.
Actually,
just to see Jason Statham as a complete goofball.
No, you want to see it for the kitchen fight sequence.
Okay.
Where Melissa McCarthy beats the crap out of another lady in the kitchen using pots and pans and knives and stuff.
Cool.
And then for who is it? Jude Law in it is kind of amazing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he plays an American.
Okay.
He plays an American spy, which is kind of funny.
Huh.
Anyway, around the 4th, me and this guy, we just go back and forth. I'd be telling him, didn't we beat you in that war? Don't you need to go back home? Didn't we kick you out of here? And his response was always, "No, we let you win that. We let you win that. We were just tired of dealing with you. You were just a spoiled little kid. We just left you in your room." He'd just come up with all kinds of hilarious banter back and forth. But 4th of July brings up something that is kind of an issue for me. This is where I'm getting a little bit controversial. Okay, this is going to be a controversial one. So anybody that is easily offended by talk that could be construed to be anti-patriotism, could be construed that way, might want to take heed and just either don't listen anymore or listen carefully through the whole thing and don't react and have over judgment until you've heard the whole thing I'm about to say. Okay.
How about this? We'll state it. I think I know where you're going with this. And
Okay.
I think, let's state it this way. James has a specific point.
I do.
To all of the arguments he will be putting up.
I do.
And it is not, as much as it may be accidentally misconstrued on the surface as non-patriotic, it actually is completely opposite of that.
Well, Lisa, I can say this much. I don't intend to be non-patriotic. I am not personally non-patriotic. I love living in this country.
Okay.
I'm very proud to be an American.
Yes.
And I have no intention of leaving this country, except maybe to go to Canada and get some Timbits. That's about it.
What the hell's a Timbit?
They're donuts at Tim Hortons.
Oh, okay.
Apparently the coffee is amazing there too.
Probably is.
But it's a Canadian thing. They won't give it to the U.S.
The
Canadians are keeping it for themselves.
They're keeping their own coffee?
The coffee and they won't let Tim Hortons go into the U.S. They only keep them in Canada. They don't want to give it to us.
Okay.
They're selfish. I don't blame them, really. It's great donuts, apparently.
Oh, okay.
They shared their beer. They share their whiskey.
I was going to say,
occasionally
that's
they share their maple syrup, but they're keeping their donuts themselves.
it's worth the trip.
I can't argue.
Yeah, I'd say it's worth the trip.
But anyway, yes, some of this may come off as...
That's what the disclaimer was for.
There you go. Some of it may come off as unpatriotic, but listen to the whole thing, please, because I have a point to make.
Okay.
So we get around July 4th, and what we find is patriotism goes into overdrive. Now...
Wait, you're talking patriotism goes into overdrive in 1776?
No, now.
Oh,
Right
you're
now.
talking patriotism goes into overdrive every July 4th.
When we get to July 4th every year, patriotism goes into overdrive.
Okay.
We go into this kind of, I almost feel it's a need to show outwardly and prove how patriotic we are, how American we are, how much we love our country. And one of the ways that this is done is by festooning flags on every conceivable thing humanly possible.
Okay, I've got a question for
Yes.
you. Is there, now, me personally, the only experience I've had with patriotism in any country is only in the United States. And it has continued I have witnessed it continue to evolve to, in some cases, a very extreme degree.
Are you asking me about other countries?
Yeah, what do other countries do?
Well, other countries do see the United States as being a little... What's the right way to put this? They say the United States kind of overdoes it a little bit when it comes to patriotism displays.
So these other countries don't necessarily...
Now, when they have days that are remembrance days, like the 4th of July for us, when they have those days, Independence Days, or like... I can honestly say I don't know enough of the other countries' holidays that are specific to the countries to be able to say.
Okay.
But I guess we can use the UK as an example, when they have anything to do around the Queen's birthday or any kind of celebration for her.
Union Jack Day.
They have the flags out for those periods.
Okay.
And they have the flags at all of their, major government offices.
Okay, I'm assuming they have flags like available to sell to the public too.
Yes.
You can use, and there's a flag code and like all that kind of stuff.
But they don't. What they don't do is some of the things that we do, like have flags in every classroom in their schools.
They don't have that?
No. They don't have flags.
Oh, whoa.
They don't have flags at like every single government installation, like down to post office and police station, and they don't necessarily have flags in all those places. No. This is where other countries think that we sometimes maybe go a little too far with trying to show how patriotic we are to our country. In other countries, their idea of being patriotic is they stay in their country, they pay their country's taxes, they vote. Which, funny enough, voting, and in fact, the right to vote is probably one of the most patriotic things that you can do, being an active voter.
Right.
Even though we, with our political system, we aren't necessarily afforded as many choices as some people always want to have for their things. Being an active voter and being active in as much as you can, given your limitations in society, in the political arena, is actually one of the more patriotic things that you can do, because you're at least attempting to actively affect the direction of the country, as opposed to just sitting on your hands and kind of doing nothing.
Right.
I mean, it is a choice not to vote, and I'm not saying that people have to, but at the same time, choosing not to is making the choice to be not part of the decision making in any way, shape, or form. Even if you only have two choices that are both bad choices, at least you're part of picking one bad over the other bad. You know what I mean? I know it's a terrible way to describe it, but at least you're doing something about it. And keep in mind.
Well, at the same time, you can still write in your answer.
Well,
you know what I mean?
But keep in mind, the Constitution didn't actually have any provisions originally to protect voters in any way, shape, or form. That was left up to states' rights to protect voters. And in the original states, going back to when this declaration was signed and the Articles of Confederation, which was the first 13 years of the United States government before we actually had a president, or at least the president as we know it today, because there were multiple presidents under the Articles of Confederation, but I don't even know their names, and I'm pretty knowledgeable about presidents. So we had about 13 years, I think, under the Articles of Confederation before we had the formalization of the Constitution.
Oh, okay.
So it was actually a different government for 13 years. But there was a lot within the formation of the Constitution allowed for a lot of states' rights on things. Voting was one of those things that was left up to states' rights. And the original states actually set up so the only people who were allowed to vote were white landowning males.
True.
So if you weren't white, if you didn't own land, and you weren't male, you weren't even allowed to vote.
Yeah, that's true.
It wasn't until they actually added amendments to the Constitution to originally give people of African descent the right to vote, and then only so much of the right to vote. And then finally, after that, women the right to vote, because women got it after.
True. It took like 150 years for us to get that part down.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot where that none of that was protected originally.
Yeah.
However, since it's now been added to the Constitution, it is almost our duty as citizens to do that.
Yeah.
To be a part of it. Even if we don't feel like we are a part of it, it's still part of our duty. And that's the thing, is this is where I think the line to me gets a little blurred, is people don't think about or even understand, I don't think, the real duties of being a member of a country, being an active participant in the country that you live in.
Right.
And instead, they think by, at least this is what my theorizes. My theory is that they think by putting flags all over everything around these holidays and proclaiming at the top of your lungs how patriotic you are and how much you love this country is the right way to show that you are patriotic and do care about it, as opposed to the actual work that you need to put in to be a member of the country. And first thing I want to go into is the flag thing. Because this comes up around Memorial Day. In fact, from Memorial Day until 4th of July, this is a big deal. Because I walk into the stores that I go shopping in, and I see the paper plates, and I see the napkins, and I see the T-shirts, and the bandanas
Right.
and the shorts and all these different clothings that have the flag on it. Let me tell you something, sir. That is actually against flag code. That's actually disrespectful of the flag.
Okay.
Now, most people are going, well, some people are going, flag code? What the heck is flag code? Well, if you've gone shopping with me around this time of year, you know what flag code is because I'll be bitching about it out loud. But flag code is basically, it's the kind of rules governing what should be done with a flag and how a flag should be treated.
All right.
Okay. I'm going to read you some pieces of flag code. Okay.
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 This is taken straight out of the Constitution, I'm assuming?
Not out of the Constitution. This
Where's
is just
it taken out of?
U.S. Code 36.
This is the federal United States Code.
Yes, for flag. Well, yes,
pertaining to
pertaining
the American
to the,
flag
the American
specifically.
flag. Yes.
Okay.
There's nothing in the Constitution actually at all about the flag. There's so many things that aren't in the Constitution. There's so many things that aren't in the Constitution. I mean, you got to think about the fact the national anthem. Who wrote the national anthem? Do you remember that?
Francis Scott Key.
When did he write it?
I thought it was the 1800s.
It was during the War of 1812.
Yes.
You know what he was watching happen while he wrote it?
He was watching a losing battle, wasn't he?
He was watching the assault on Fort McHenry when he wrote it. He wrote it, by the way, to the tune of a British marching song, just so you know.
It kind of sounds like that, doesn't it?
But keep in mind, the War of 1812 was the second time we had to fight off the British. That was the time they actually invaded and burnt down the White House.
Oh, in the War of 1812?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So we were already 4 presidents in at that point.
Yeah.
Because Madison was president at that point. I think he was 4, maybe 5. But anyway, Madison was the president at that point. Okay? We didn't even have a national anthem until even years after that was written, when they finally adopted it as the national anthem. So it was not something that was in place when George Washington was president, when this country was founded. It came about later than that.
Okay.
So one of those things that, like, people say it's always been that way with the national anthem. We've always had it. No, we haven't always had it.
No, we hadn't. No, I knew that.
Okay. So when we'll do a little more discussion on the national anthem and the thing I have even more discussion about, the flag salute. We'll get to that one too.
Yeah.
Okay. So respect for the flag. Okay. First of all, no disrespect should be shown to the flag of the United States of America. Before I say anything else, I understand that this will prompt a lot of people to be angry about people that will burn the flag or throw it on the ground and walk across it.
Right.
Are those people disrespecting the flag? Yes, they are disrespecting the flag.
Right.
Now, if it is their personal property that they have bought, do they have the right to disrespect their personal property? Yes, they are protected with the right to disrespect their personal property.
Okay.
That does make them disrespectful people. However, it does not make them doing anything illegal. They have not done anything that should be punishable by law, because being disrespectful isn't necessarily punishable by law. And here's the thing that comes about it. The reason I'm bringing these up is the people that will go out and purchase these items of clothing that have the flag all over them, they're doing it in the mindset of, I'm showing the ultimate respect for my country and my flag by having all of these things. Right. This is me being patriotic. What I'm trying to show, what I'm trying to talk about in this, is that maybe it's not really being respectful. Maybe it's being disrespectful what you're doing. Maybe having those things isn't respecting the flag. Maybe respecting the flag is giving it more honor than by putting it on those things. Now, let me continue with this.
And go ahead and continue, because I may have a counterpoint at some point during this.
The flag should not be dipped to any person or thing.
Should not be what?
Dipped.
Dipped.
Like dip it with your hand. Like
really?
Move it down. Like,
really?
Like it's almost you're making the flag bow. Because that would be making the flag be in subservience to any person or thing.
Being subservient to a person.
And the flag is not subservient to anybody. Keep in mind, by the way, the office of the President of the United States, that office and every other government office, they are public servants.
Yeah.
They work for us. We do not work for them.
Right.
No matter who the president is, that person is actually supposed to be working for us. They are not bigger than the country.
Right.
The country is bigger than them. They serve the country.
Yeah, of course.
Just something to keep in mind. I think we deify our presidents way too much when they are just normal people that are supposed to be there to serve the best interest of the country.
That makes sense.
Not the best interest of anything else. Have there been presidents that have served the best interest of their country? Sadly, less of those than would have served themselves. But anyway, Let me continue. Regimental colors, state flags, and organization or institutional flags are to be dipped as a mark of honor. So, other flags other than the United States flag can be dipped as a mark of honor.
State flags.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. First
so
thing,
if you dip the state flag to the president,
that's a different thing.
That's a different thing. You just don't dip the American flag
to anybody or anything.
Okay.
It's like an American president should never bow to any foreign leader of any kind.
Oh.
Never. They should never bow to any foreign leader, because that is indicating that America is bowing to that foreign leader.
Ah.
Because our president represents our country.
Right.
Now, moving on. Here's item A. The flag should never be displayed with the Union down. That would be the blue patch.
Right.
Okay. Except as a signal of dire distress in instances of extreme danger to life or property.
Oh.
So actually, you would turn the flag upside down.
You can actually turn the flag upside down during a moment of distress and like civil distress.
Yes. The flag should never touch anything beneath it, such as the ground, the floor, water, or merchandise. So it should never be touching anything below it.
Okay.
The flag should never be carried flat or horizontally, but always aloft and free.
Okay.
The flag should never be used as...
Wait a minute. What about a military funeral where they're taking the flag, they're stretching out, and they're folding it?
Different. And I'll get to that.
Okay.
Different. The flag should never be used as wearing apparel. And by the way, if you've seen a military funeral done right, they will hold it up, then lay it down. Then when they fold it, in the process of folding it is when it will be flat. It's the only time they make it flat.
But isn't it draped over the coffin?
That's a different thing, and I'll get to that. That's actually in here.
Okay.
Okay. The flag should never be used as wearing apparel, bedding, or drapery. It should never be festooned, drawn back, nor up in folds, but always allowed to fall free. Bunting of blue, white, and red, always arranged with the blue above, the white in the middle, and the red below, should be used for covering a speaker's desk, draping the front of the platform, and for decoration in general.
I did not know that they had that set up in the flag code. So you're talking about like those banners that people are using on like podiums for political campaigning? It's always blue, white, red.
Yes.
From top to bottom.
Yes.
I did not know that.
Yes.
I didn't know that they had that set up. That's... Wow. Okay.
Okay. The flag should never be fastened, displayed, used, or stored in such a manner as to permit it to be easily torn, soiled, or damaged in any way.
Okay.
So this means that if there's a flag emblazoned or as an image on a napkin, you're soiling an image of the flag.
Wait. Say that part again.
The flag should never be fastened, displayed, used, or stored in such a manner as to permit it to be easily torn, soiled, or damaged in any way.
I thought that's talking about the physical flag.
It is talking about the physical flag,
image of the flag.
But again, by making it...
But at the same time, they've already said that you can't print the flag's colors, or not necessarily colors, but you cannot print the flag image on
apparel, bedding, or drapery.
Okay.
Let me go. The flag should never be used as a covering for a ceiling.
Oh, really?
Let me continue.
I've seen people do that.
The flag should never be placed upon it, the flag should never have placed upon it, nor on any part of it, nor attached to it, any mark, insignia, letter, word, figure, design, picture, or drawing of any nature. So, during the last campaign season, when there was a lot of people supporting one of the political candidates that was writing in the white spaces on the flag about making things wonderful.
They were doing that?
Again?
They were writing in the middle, in the white lines?
On the white lines of the flag, yes. The white bars? Yes. That is disrespecting the flag.
So that's a violation of flag code?
Yes.
Okay.
The flag should never be used as a receptacle for receiving, holding, carrying, or delivering anything.
Right. You can't use it as a bag.
The flag should never be used for advertising purposes in any manner whatsoever.
Oh, boy.
Let me finish. It should
There goes all of the retailers. Every one of them this upcoming weekend.
Let me finish. It should not be embroidered on such articles as cushions or handkerchiefs and the like, printed or otherwise impressed on paper napkins or boxes, or anything that is designed for temporary use and discard. Advertising signs should not be fastened to a staff or halyard from which the flag is flown.
Oh, wow. Well, there goes car dealerships.
Your napkins, your plates.
Yep, it's there.
None of these should have this on there.
There it is.
No part of the flag should ever be used as a costume or athletic uniform. However,
wait, they don't do that on the Olympic uniforms, do they?
However, this is important. A flag patch may be affixed to the uniform of military personnel,
okay,
firemen, policemen, and members of patriotic organizations.
Okay.
The flag represents a living country and is itself considered a living thing. Therefore, the lapel flag pin, being a replica, should be worn on the left lapel near the heart.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay. Because there were a lot of arguments about that a couple of years ago. If you remember, there were people that were arguing that a flag lapel was technically a violation of flag code because it was somebody wearing an image of the flag on their person.
It's in the code.
Specifically states that it's within code as long as it is on the left side. So it's got to be on the left collar.
Over your heart.
Over the heart. So the lapel needs to be on this side.
Yep.
Wow. I didn't know that was there. That's cool.
The flag, when it is in such condition that it is no longer a fitting emblem for display, should be destroyed in a dignified way, preferably by burning.
When it is really?
When it is in such condition that it is no longer a fitting emblem for display, when your flag is ratty and torn,
ratty,
yes,
you are allowed to burn it.
You are required to burn it. Actually, that's the appropriate way to dispose of a flag. Now, it's not to be done in the way that protesters burn a flag.
No.
But it is to be done in, there's actually, from what I understand, you can call up patriotic organizations like VFWs if you have an old flag.
Hey, I need somebody to dispose of this.
And they will come and dispose of the flag properly in proper ceremony.
Cool.
To give it the proper ceremony it has.
Cool. Okay. That's legit. That's okay. That's cool. Now that's honestly, that's something that probably a lot of people should know, and they may not. If you need to if you need to take care of a flag, because it also should not be allowed to be in that condition. That you should not fly a flag that is torn and tattered and messed up.
Well, and what most people do not realize is this is the time of year where people put their flags out in front of their house, right?
Right.
Here's the thing.
But they'll have a flag that's 20 years old that's completely
they're tattered and torn up and should not be flown anymore, because what you're flying is, the flag is supposed to be representative of the country.
Right.
You're flying a torn and tattered, beat up flag. Is that what our country represents to you? Is something torn and tattered and beat up? Or is it not
if you're
worth getting another
protesting,
one?
it may very well be.
True.
But at the same time, that's not the intention of what most of these people are flying the flag
most people that
for.
put the flag outside their house are not flying it in protest.
Right.
But here's the thing. Person does that around Memorial Day, leaves it up to 4th of July, right?
Right.
They put that flag out. They have violated flag code probably and not even realized it. Do you know why?
Why?
They put it out and they leave it out. And it's out during the daytime. Then it hits nighttime. And it's still out. And guess what? If it's not lighted while it's out at night, it's in violation of flag code. Because the flag should not be out at nighttime without it being lit.
Is that the next...
No, but it is in here. Give me a moment.
But it is in there? Yeah. Keep going, man. Keep going. I didn't know that.
First of all, just to note, the United States flag has to be higher than any other flag, including state flags. There's actually one state that does not do that.
Texas. Texas flies their flag at equal height.
I thought it was no. There was one that actually flies it above, and I think it's one of the Carolinas.
That's illegal. They can't do that.
Texas does, because Texas is unusual.
Here's the thing about Texas, and I know this personally, that Texas does not see themselves as essentially subservient to the rest of the country. Now, they have to technically adhere to federal law, and they know it. Now, what every other establishment has the Texas flag, or has their flag flown out, like California's flag flies underneath the American flag.
Well, because
in every government establishment and every McDonald's that you see with a flagpole.
You're right.
Know what I mean?
You're right in the sense of it. Texas thinks of themselves still as the Republic of Texas, who is a part of a treaty with the United States. They are not they don't necessarily like to think of themselves as a state. They are a separate republic that is a part of the United States as a result of a treaty. That's how they think of themselves. There is truth to that. However,
Is this some
they
Civil
are
War thing that I didn't know about?
Yes and no.
Interesting.
We'll actually, I'm going to make a note here.
Yeah.
Statehood of Texas and Civil War. Actually, what most people don't realize is that the statehood of Texas is actually key to the Civil War.
Interesting.
Very, very key to it. It's really funny that way.
That'd be kind of cool to review at some point.
Note here from this flag code. It is the universal custom to display the flag only from sunrise to sunset on buildings and on stationary flagstaffs in the open.
Okay.
In fact, I just watched a video recently of Robin Williams when he was still alive, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
He was on a USO tour. And he was in a foreign country.
I've
Did you see this video?
Yeah, where he just stops completely.
Well,
they play the reveille, and he just,
yes.
Everybody turns away from him, faces the flag. He's like, oh, okay, we're stopping. And he just...
He does the right thing. He just stands there respectfully, not knowing what the heck is going on. And then it's explained to him later, like, I knew what was going on because I know enough people.
Yeah.
But he stopped what he was doing, and
his reaction was priceless too. Like him explaining himself afterwards.
Never had an audience turn around for me that quickly. It was like music and boom, and then I was like, "What the hell is coming that way?" All these military people are looking that way. Am I in trouble? Yeah, it was great. It's a great little clip, but that's on a military base like that. That's what they're going to do. Is they're going to hoist it and they're going to pull it down. If you're on any base during those specific times. Sunrise, sunset, you need to be prepared for that, and they'd be facing the flag. So, let me finish here.
Exactly. Okay.
However, when a patriotic effect is desired, the flag may be displayed 24 hours a day if properly illuminated during the hours of darkness.
Yes, that's what we were talking about originally. By the way, in this section, it was you have to take the flag down at sunset, and you can only raise it at sunrise unless you light it.
Yes, and so the people that put it outside their house and have it on display from Memorial Day to July 4th or even longer than that, they're actually in violation of code, and they're actually being disrespectful to their flag. Because,
well, that's unless they light it.
Or unless it's lit, or unless they pull it down at sunset and put it back up at sunrise.
Cool.
But if they just leave it there with no light on it, that's actually being, as much as you're wanting to be patriotic, as much as your intention is good to be patriotic, you're actually being disrespectful to the flag.
Interesting.
So we're going to take a break right now. We have a few more items to cover with this, including I'm going to talk about the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh, no.
All right, we'll see you in a bit.
Hey friends, this is Mike from the Xennial Chronicles reminding you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Xencron, spelled Xenchron, to keep up to date on all things TXC. And please check out our official website, theXennialChronicles.com, or if that's too much to type, Zencron.com. Thanks again for listening, and now, back to the show.
And we are back.
All right, what are you ruining now?
You're gonna go with that.
Yep.
I see how you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is. I have slowly gotten more and more depressed. Although at the same time, I've also been surprised. So I'm not sure how I feel about myself.
Isn't that kind of life?
I mean, yeah.
Depressed, a little surprised, not sure how you feel.
Yeah. No, that's pretty much how things go.
Of life in general. So are you really comparing me to that TV show?
No, okay. Not to the TV show.
Okay,
no, you are nowhere near that quality yet.
Ass. I'll give
it's okay. You just got to take some time and practice. Okay.
I don't have a team of writers behind me helping me out.
I
don't have the production value.
Well, there you go. It's something to strive for.
I wasn't with. He was with some. He was with College Humor for a long time.
Yeah, he was. So they were developing for I think 10 years before they got on True TV. Or
this is just.
We're talking about Adam Conover, the host of Adam Ruins Everything.
I love that show.
By the way, that show was pretty badass.
Ever.
Yeah,
I almost went and saw him this year. He came to Sacramento.
Tour?
Yeah, he was doing a comedy tour.
Oh, cool.
Stand-up. He was doing stand-up, but his stand-up was ruining stuff stand-up.
Of course.
Which is just amazing.
That sounds fantastic.
I just wanted to be there and let things be ruined because I love that kind of stuff. Just the inside information that people don't know. And in fact, that's exactly what we're doing with this.
All right, James.
We're talking about the Pledge of Allegiance.
Depress me more, please.
And the reason I'm bringing up the Pledge of Allegiance is because I feel that this, along with the national anthem and the way that we handle the national anthem nowadays, is the epitome of this, of what I feel is this uber patriotism, this overt display of patriotism that goes too far. that we do too much of.
Yeah, I'm going to be totally in line with you on this. There was some stuff that I thought that was just like a regular, normal thing, obviously, as a kid. And then the more that you think about it, the more that it doesn't make sense to do.
Well, I mean, there was a lot of controversy over the last couple of years with the NFL and the national anthem in the NFL.
Yeah.
Do you realize that the only reason the NFL televises the national anthem for all the games is because of a contract they had with the military? Where the military paid them to do that?
I only learned that within the last year or two, especially while it was a hot topic of conversation like a year or two back. I remember.
You're not a big football watcher. I mean, you're a fan of a football team.
Yeah.
And you know at least if I was to say who's the best quarterback ever for that team, you know who that is?
Yes.
Who's the best wide receiver to ever play the game of football? You would know who that is, hopefully.
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay, so those are the things, those are the most important things that you need to know about that team. Are we
specifically talking about that team?
Well, I mean, with that team, the 49ers.
Yeah.
Yes, 49ers. Anybody who doesn't like the 49ers, turn this off now. You shouldn't be listening to me.
Uh-oh,
no, I'm kidding. You can listen still. Anyway, you might actually enjoy listening when we do. Here's an announcement for Mike. Surprise.
Wait, what?
He hates surprises.
What's happening?
We're going to be doing a football episode.
What?
We will be doing a football episode in August.
Are you bringing somebody else in? Because I don't know squat.
I am bringing somebody else in.
Oh, boy.
In fact, when I sent the message to him, I said, hey, can you come and do a football episode with us? And he was like, yeah, okay, I think I can do that. I said, yeah, I kind of need you to come and do it because with football, Mike is basically useless.
I'm daft.
Yeah.
Is the term, the proper terminology.
I know, I'm going to say useless.
Grossly uneducated.
I like useless better.
Oh, why, thank you.
That works better.
I appreciate that.
But okay, who is the best quarterback ever for the 49ers?
For the Niners, it was Montana, dude.
And who was the best receiver to ever play the game?
Jerry Rice. They were a freaking dream team.
Those are the most important things that you need to know.
Come on, that's like that's a
those are the
freaking 4-year-old should be able to tell you that.
If they've been taught right, yes.
I mean, I guess
if they haven't been made to wear black and silver for the 4 years of their life and their parents have been abusing them.
You are ruining our fan base, James.
I'm a Niner fan. I'm supposed to be making digs on Raider fans.
Not if they can't defend themselves.
It's accepted that that's what I'm going to do to a Raider fan. It's just going to happen.
We're like our fan base out here in this area. We're in the Sacramento area. Is like split 50-50.
And again, if I was a Niner fan and didn't do a dig at a Raiders fan, they would actually be disappointed in me. The Raider fan is laughing right now because he's like, yeah, stupid Niner fan would say that. Your team sucks. That's what they're thinking.
We should bring that guy in on the sports conversation.
Which one's the Raider fan?
Which one do you think is the Raider fan?
Seaweed?
Yeah.
Is he following football that heavy?
I think he still does, yeah.
Because I know Irwin's dad follows it.
He's been diehard for a long time. You didn't know that?
I know he was a fan of that. I just didn't know he was. I know he was a Raider fan. I just didn't know he was.
No, he's honestly gone to more games than anybody I know of.
Him and I don't talk about football because of that. That's why he should
come in.
It's like my oldest brother. We only started talking
about it. Dude, I want to watch this whole thing just go up and smoke.
Well, I mean, it would be fair for it just to be me and him talking about that. I won't bring in Irwin's dad to you like that nickname?
Yeah.
It's appropriate, yeah?
Yeah.
I think it's funny. Won't bring him in because then we'll be 2-on-1. But it's Irwin's dad that's coming in to help us out.
Okay.
He's gonna do the football talk with us.
Okay.
So maybe if we get Seaweed in first for the other thing, because Seaweed's coming in too for another thing we're gonna do. If we get Seaweed in to do his thing first, maybe we can do a little footy chat at that time too.
Okay.
But anyway, back to the point.
I am lost on nicknames right now.
Irwin's dad. Who is Irwin? Steve Irwin's dad. Who is Steve Irwin?
Now
you got it.
Yeah.
You like that now? Yeah. That's a funny nickname
now,
isn't it?
That's good. That's good.
Hopefully he's listening and he gets it.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway.
All right. I get it.
I gotta say that was the most when I found out.
It's funny because isn't his son's name's Hunter, isn't it?
That's the point.
That's great.
That's the point. When I found out that he was naming his son that, I was like, seriously? With your last name? That is hilarious. You need to teach that kid to say crikey. In accent, because I know you can do it. Teach him to say it.
I love it.
Anyway, moving on to what I was talking about. Or going back to what I was talking about.
We are way off subject.
When I was a kid watching the NFL, and I watched it a lot. I mean, football was religion in my household, literally. That's what we did on Sundays was watch football.
Totally. Okay.
There was the only time you ever saw the national anthem was at the Super Bowl. And it was important because whoever was singing it at the Super Bowl, it was a big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to know who's the best national anthem of all time at the Super Bowl. There's one person
Whitney.
who did the best. Yes, Whitney.
Whitney.
Whitney's is the best
Totally
ever.
Whitney. Yeah.
Worst, Roseanne Barr. But I don't think she did it at the Super Bowl. She did it at something else, but she was awful.
I think she was at a baseball game.
Christina Aguilera was pretty bad,
Funny
too.
enough, though. Funny enough.
Yes, please.
I remember going to baseball games with my dad, and there weren't championship or playoff games or nothing, and you would hear the national anthem at every baseball game.
You would. Okay, let me get to this. This is important. You're
Yeah.
right. They still did it at the football games. They still did it at the baseball games. They didn't televise it. And now here's the difference, okay? Here's the difference.
True?
Yes. And here's the difference.
So the deal was televising it.
Yes, that's where the deal came in, was televising.
Okay, yeah.
And
Start this from the top so everybody else is caught up. I know what this is, but please continue.
This is where I have the problem with this.
Okay, let's start. Yeah, let's start this part from the top because I
top?
jumped ahead a little bit.
No, I'm there.
You're there. I feel like I jumped ahead a little bit.
No,
and I don't
no,
think
no.
that we've explained this enough yet.
No, I'll get the pledge part in a bit because
Okay.
right now we're on the anthem.
Yeah, we're on the anthem.
Like I said, when I was a kid watching it on TV, you wouldn't have that. World Series, you'd have it for baseball.
Yeah,
Super Bowl,
totally.
you'd have it.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't have it for every game, hearing the national anthem at the beginning of the game, making an issue of it.
Okay.
This became part of the military doing the contract with the NFL to do this.
Wasn't that they had done it? Is 2008, right?
I
Is
think
when
so,
they started
yes.
the contract, and it was to help. I think they needed recruits from the military. And rather than instating a draft,
so much as they were just trying to up recruitment. They didn't need it, but they wanted to up recruitment. They wanted to up awareness.
So to up military support, essentially.
And the NFL was growing bigger and bigger and bigger. It was becoming a huger thing.
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
it had surpassed baseball as essentially a national pastime.
The NFL is
like years.
Yeah, the
before
NFL
that.
is the national pastime of America.
Pretty much, dude. Like everybody at this point, like it's unofficial, technically speaking, but everybody freaking knows it.
I can you can make the joke that Major League Baseball is the national pastime of Cuba and Puerto Rico. But I mean, well, Cuba especially, actually, well, not Major League Baseball, but baseball in general. Fidel loved baseball. He was a baseball player.
Yeah.
But anyway, you're right in the fact that you would go to games and you'd see the national anthem at the game, but it wouldn't be televised. And here's where the difference for me lies. If you're going to the game, how many games did you get to go to as a kid? Probably count on both hands, right?
I think I remember.
Now, if you're not a season
ticket,
if you're not a season ticket holder, or even if you are, going to the game is a special moment.
Yeah.
Especially as a kid, you get to go and see this huge building.
Yeah.
Sit in these chairs and watch these tiny people do these things, and you might know their names and you might have their card at home. It's a really cool experience.
Mm-hmm.
So a whole part of the experience is having that national anthem there because it's special at that moment.
Yeah, it's part of the public gathering and the whole experience.
When you see
I can agree with that.
5 times a weekend during football season.
Oh yeah.
It starts to take the experience of the national anthem into something that is no longer an important experience, a special experience. It starts becoming just a regular thing.
So you're talking about basically continually televising the national anthem. You're saying that continually,
it cheapens it. It makes it less of an important thing in my mind. It makes it so that it's something that just happens all the time instead of something that's a really important event. And this is the song that is supposed to be. It's the national anthem. This is the song that's supposed to represent our country. It's supposed to give us the pride in our country. If we watch it on TV and see it 5 times in a weekend, it loses its luster. It becomes less important.
I mean,
it's like here's an example for you. Okay,
I'm somewhat neutral on it, but I think I understand.
Think about it this way. All right, what's your favorite steak? Like your favorite cut of steak all time?
Top sirloin.
Top sirloin.
Yeah.
Now, if I was to tell you, okay, you're going to get top sirloin every night for a month, every single night, don't you think at some point during that month you're going to get tired of top sirloin?
I'd ask for lobster.
You don't think you get tired of eating ocean-going bug every night for a month?
No, I wouldn't be able to do it every night for a month. But I understand.
But
like, if you're over
saturated,
if you're overdoing it constantly, on top of the fact that you might end up with some dietary problems.
Well, that's what I feel is happening with both the Pledge of Allegiance and the national anthem is that we've been so oversaturated with these things, it becomes part of a routine that means nothing.
Yeah,
it doesn't carry the weight and the meaning that it did. It should be reserved for more special occasions. And I get the idea of when you go to the ballpark, when you physically go there and you have somebody sing it, like a local celebrity or a local person do it and whatnot.
Yeah.
You're there for the experience.
Right.
But that part doesn't need to be televised. That part doesn't need to be shown everywhere. Leave that for the people that get to be there.
Okay, I can understand that.
Let them have that moment there with it.
Yeah.
And make it so that when we see it on the big stage, when it's beamed into every television set across the country, make it be on the biggest stage. Make it be the NFC and the AFC championship game. Make it be the Super Bowl. Make it be at those moments. Hell, I'd be okay if it was throughout just all the playoffs for the NFL and then the Super Bowl, because then you're talking, those are the big moments.
Yeah.
Those are the moments to remember, not the individual games unless you're there. Make it more intimate. Make it more special.
I
Make
can
that
understand
moment
where
be
you're coming
something
from
more
with that.
than what it is.
That honestly, this makes a lot of sense.
By oversaturating it, you're cheapening what I think should be an important ritual.
Yeah.
And this is where I come with the Pledge of Allegiance as well. First of all, most people don't realize a few notes about the Pledge of Allegiance. This is another one of those things, just like the national anthem, that they think has been around forever. You have any idea when the Pledge of Allegiance was formalized and written up in the way that we have it now?
I do not know that.
Do you know who did it?
No.
There's a gentleman named Francis Bellamy. Now, there had been a version that existed around the time of the Civil War, but it really wasn't in major use outside of military circles.
Oh, okay.
Francis Bellamy was the one who wrote basically the version that we have today.
Okay.
He wrote it in 1892.
Oh, wow. Okay.
A lot younger thing than you think, huh?
Yeah.
1892, that's halfway through our country, basically.
Yeah.
Our country's history.
Yep.
So, it was adopted by Congress as an official thing in 1942. So it's not been the official thing since 1942. It took that long. It took 50 years for Congress to adopt it as the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah, and then it only took them 20 years to add one more little thing to it.
Hold on, I'll get there. You're
Sorry,
jumping the gun here.
Yeah, I know.
You're jumping the gun here.
It's just because I know.
Now, what was happening in 1942?
Second World War.
So we were in the midst of the Second World War. We were at probably our most patriotic that we had been in the country.
Yeah.
And we adopt this Pledge of Allegiance. What else was happening during that time? This is important to events that are happening now. How about what happened to George Takei's family during the 1940s?
Oh my goodness, the Japanese internment camps.
And there was the issues with German immigrants in Chicago during that time period, during World War I and World War II.
Yeah, there was a lot going down. You had a lot of people that were moving. They were moving from those countries trying to escape either persecution or just that type of mindset in that area.
History repeats itself, doesn't it?
And they show up here and they're getting ridiculed for where they come from.
And in this time frame, with this hyper-patriotism during the midst of a war, we come up with this Pledge of Allegiance, pledging yourself to the flag of the country. Don't you think that there may have been a little bit of unusual motivation for something like that? This
sounds like I'm just throwing it out here because I'm being relatively speculative here, but it also sounds like it is a tool that would have tried to start curbing communism at one point as well.
Funny you should say that.
Because I know that was something that was
the other part that comes later.
People were being hunted down and thrown in jail for sharing communist ideas.
That happened in the 50s.
In the 20s.
That happened in the 50s mainly. The McCarthy era was in the 50s.
That was when they were railing against it, right?
Yes, that's where Lucille Ball was even accused of being a communist.
Woo.
To which Desi Arnaz, his response to that is, there's nothing red at all, red being the color of communism. There's nothing red at all about Lucy. Even her hair's not really red. It comes out of a bottle. So, I mean, but what's funny you say about that is that it would be railing against communism. Francis Bellamy had some interesting history. You know what Francis Bellamy was when he wrote this?
No.
He was a minister.
Okay.
More importantly, he was a Christian socialist minister. Oh, Mike, I see you. I would love to have this on video.
Yeah.
You had a head toss back and a look of enragement. I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Okay, because I know where you're going, but I know that there's a...
Yes, Christian socialist minister.
Okay.
Socialist.
Okay.
Now, you also know how the flag salute was originally supposed to be done, right?
Yeah.
Right arm extended out diagonally from your shoulder.
You're kidding me.
I'm not. And for those of you who are not understanding what I'm saying, it's palm down, sticking your arm out from your shoulder diagonally.
Yeah, what else does that look like?
Very much like the Sieg Heil Hitler salute.
Yeah.
Which they stopped doing it when it was adopted in 42.
Which makes a lot of sense.
They started with the hand on the heart.
The hand over the heart. They had to change the insignia because of what was going on out in Germany.
But this was a Christian socialist who wrote this. Socialist. Okay? That's important. Because I can tell you now, many of the people who are the big fans of the Pledge of Allegiance and how important it is they stress how important it is in our life.
I didn't know that. Man, I got to look that up later.
Rail against socialism and socialists. When in fact, socialists are actually the most likely to want you to pledge yourself to your country because the country should be a group of all people together. But that's a discussion for a different day when we maybe try to tread on political ideologies. Maybe.
Okay, man, because...
If we have that discussion, it will try to be from a logical, stand away from the issues point of view, an educational view.
That's tough to have.
It is. But let me go on to the part that you're talking about.
Okay.
It was named the Pledge of Allegiance. It was adopted in 42. It was officially named as the Pledge of Allegiance in 1945.
Okay.
Now here's the fun part. You're talking about, of course, the two words that were added.
Yes.
There were two words added in 1954.
Yes.
And those two words would be the words under God.
Which is funny because the Christian minister was not the one who added those words there when he wrote the damn thing.
This was added as a result of the Cold War and as a result of trying to differentiate our country from the godless communist countries.
Okay, so here's what I have a question about, because
I will try to answer it from what knowledge I have.
The whole issue with the quote-unquote godless communist ideology, is that literally just an ideology, and is that not proven in fact? Because now I understand that part of, and if we're looking specifically at the societies that converted essentially to communism or were overthrown into communism, i.e. the USSR.
Well, countries
part of what happened was the Russian
communism.
Orthodox Church was thrown out because it was so involved with the hierarchy of Russia at the time. Okay. So when they became communists, did they throw out the church and quote unquote now it became godless, or was that just nothing but a relative speculation because communism?
Okay.
It's a big question that I have.
So loaded into that, and that will have to be just part of the discussion maybe when it comes to political things. I'll give you a short primer.
Okay.
Real quick primer.
Okay.
Basically, communism, first of all, it is not a political ideology. It is a political system that is put into effect by having a small group of people with control and everybody else basically given nothing and controlled completely by the government. Okay. And it's entire government control. Okay. The only way it, by the way, differs from a capitalist system is that instead of the banks, or I wouldn't say the banks, instead of the businesses and companies having control of the financial markets and influencing the government through money, which is what capitalism does. Right. In communism, the governments have control of everything and they influence the companies. So it's capitalism, companies influence government. Communism, government influences companies. Okay. In both scenarios, it's literally the top 1 or 2% of the country that rules the country. Right. Just in one scenario, it's the political leaders. In the other scenario, it's the business leaders. They're both in bed with each other. It doesn't matter which system you choose. They're both the same type of systems in that the small group at the top gets everything and everybody below gets less. Right. But anyway, again, that part will come later. Communism does typically eradicate the power of churches within a country. Now, they don't necessarily always outlaw churches. Right. But they basically take all the church's powers away. They no longer give them tax exempt status type stuff. They don't give them any kind of protections by any laws or anything like that.
Okay.
Basically, if you believe something, that's fine, but you're not going to get a protection to meet up for that belief system. You're not going to get protected for practicing it, and people not discriminating against you for practicing it, that type of thing.
Oh.
Because in many of the communist regimes, they find that religious leaders and religious organizations wield too much power that becomes a rival to the governmental power that they want to have. This becomes,
and quite obviously they want to keep that under wraps.
And it's in communism, the government has the power and they want to control everything they possibly can.
Okay.
And by doing that, basically they're going to stop anything that is going to rival them in power.
Okay.
Capitalism just basically buys them and owns them. That's all.
Well,
or if the churches have enough money, they can do whatever they want anyway.
Yeah.
Because it's driven by who has the most money, not who has the most political power. Different scenarios.
Boy, we got deep, dude.
But the communism uprising, the fight against communism, the Cold War, this is what inspires the words under God. And yes, it is to try to differentiate us from whether they were godless or not, whether the communist countries had no religions or not.
Right.
The idea at the time was, this is how you demonize another group of people, by calling them godless, by calling them less than us, by calling them just not us. They are the foreigner. They are different.
Interesting.
Sadly, this has correlation with things that are going on in the world today, where if they're not us,
right,
they're not as important. They're not worthy of rights, basic human rights, because they're not us.
Right.
They're different than us. They're from a different country, a different religion, a different background, a different whatever, different skin pigmentation. They're not us, so they're not as worthy as us.
Right.
This was a way, the words under God were a way to say we are above them because we are under God.
Right.
They're the godless ones.
Right.
And so it was to differentiate us from the communist threat that they saw at the time.
Okay. Nah, I knew that general idea.
Now this comes down to this is something that is done to this very day. The Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay.
Is done in schools on sometimes a daily basis, sometimes a weekly basis. This is another example in my mind of something that is being done so much, so oversaturated, that it really ruins the effect of what you're really saying. When you're saying these words, and even for those who would take the under God out because they don't want that part in, what you're saying is that you're pledging allegiance to the flag of your country, which is still a funny concept, except for the fact that, as we talked about in flag code, the flag is a living thing, a living embodiment of a living country.
Right.
So you're pledging yourself to this. You're pledging yourself to the symbol of your country. Should that not be a solemn occasion? Should this not be something that should be done at an appropriate point in your life? That you should only do maybe so many times. You're talking like
if you graduate high school or something?
I'm thinking more about when you become an adult in society. Now, we can argue at another day and time what age people should become adults and what actual rights should happen at adults, because I still don't like the idea that at 18 you can be signed up for military service, or you can go into military service and you're responsible for all your debts and all your decisions and all your legal stuff, but you're not allowed to drink or, in some places, smoke till you're 21. I think that's a little bit, if you're an adult, why can't you do those things? That's a discussion for another day.
Okay.
But my thought is, as a child, you have protections as being a child of the community. You're not, depending on the crime that you commit, if you commit a crime, you're not tried as an adult. You have rights to education. You have rights to food and medical services. In fact, medical services can extend until you're like 23 or 24 nowadays, depending on the laws in the specific state that you're in. But we have these kids in the schools say this thing over and over and over again. They don't really know what it means. There's no gravitas to it. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's just a series of words that you say in order once
and there's
a day or once a week.
Nothing that it means. Wouldn't it be wonderful if this was something that people did when they became adults, or when they entered military service? And maybe, I know that there's a thing that they already do for military service, where they protect the nation from enemies, foreign and domestic. I know that's a line that everybody
Yeah.
hears through stuff, but there's stuff that you do then. But this Pledge of Allegiance, this is something I think that should be a singular ceremony that would give it so much more meaning, so much more purpose than to stand up at every graduation and every day of school, or again, once a week at school, every single event that happens, and say this. Why do we need to do it this way? Why does it have to happen? Why do we have to prove so much over and over again by saying this thing, how American we are? Why can't we take this and make this a truly solemn moment in our lives?
I don't see why that.
To
I
me,
mean, I personally.
To me, that makes more sense. To me, it gives it more weight if it's something that is only done at certain times in your life. And when you do it, it's like it's like when people first become a citizen and they get to say this for the first time as a citizen. How much more meaning does it have to them? I've spoken to people who have become citizens, and some that will continue saying the Pledge of Allegiance, and the reason they do it is because they remember the first time that they got to say it.
Yeah.
As an American.
Yeah.
And that's where it stuck into them, is like, this is me dedicating myself to the country. Because I've had this discussion. There was a gentleman that I knew worked within the schools with my kids. In fact, he hopefully he was listening to these for a while there. And he discussed with me about his family immigrating into the United States and becoming citizens of the United States, and how important those ceremonies were to him, and why to him, the Pledge of Allegiance is still so important because of remembering the first time he got to do that, his family got to do that. Why don't we make this so much more an important ceremony than a daily by rote recitation?
I can understand that. That makes total sense to me. I think that in order to add to it, I guess.
Please do.
I would say that if you're going to do that, if you're going to have it happen once a week, once a month, once, a school year or something like that, you need to have something that would allow it to, if you're going to introduce this to kids in school, it would make more sense to me to take a time like around this time, like this time period, 4th of July, okay, specifically, and you have a in-depth review of the history and the reasoning behind the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay, but I get where you're
Because
going with this.
You need to be able to.
This,
yeah,
but
if you want to make it a once-a-year thing.
Here's my thing. Would you have a kid of that age pledge to military service? Would you have a kid of that age promise to marry somebody? To me, this is, by saying this Pledge of Allegiance, what it says. What does the Pledge of Allegiance say? It's been many years since I've actually said it, and I refuse to say it specifically not because, again, most people when they hear me say I refuse to say it are going to be like, oh my God, he doesn't love his country. I do. But I remember the last time I said it. I distinctly remember the very last time that I said it.
How old were you?
17.
Was that the last day you were in high school or something?
Last Monday I was in high school. I
Oh,
was
'cause
the
it was once
student.
a week?
I was the student body president my senior year. Every Monday morning we would have a school meeting. It was the job of the student body president.
That's right. You would have graduated at 17, huh?
Yes.
Okay.
It was the job of the student body president to do the flag salute and do the Pledge of Allegiance every Monday morning at the Monday morning meeting. I did it every Monday morning. I led it because I was student body president.
Right.
It was the last time that I said it. The reason for that is, think of the words you're saying. I pledge allegiance to the flag. You're pledging yourself to this flag.
You're pledging to more than that, James.
And to the country.
You're pledging to more than that. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the country.
republic for which it stands.
Yes, there you go.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Why would we have kids saying something like that? This is a covenant between you and your country. This is something that requires ceremony and respect.
It is something that requires that, but that doesn't mean that you don't introduce. Hold on, wait. This is where I kind of have the issue here.
Go ahead.
Aside from throwing the words "under God" in the Pledge of Allegiance, which I said it because that's the way I learned how to say it when I was a kid,
and that is considered the appropriate way to say it.
And
right
that is
now.
considered the appropriate way to say it. Now, that being said, that personal argument is nothing but personal with me, and I'm not going to get into depth with that. But the point of the Pledge of Allegiance, you are correct, is it is a sacred bond between you as a citizen of the United States and the country. That does not mean that you don't let kids know and understand what that is and what it means.
I agree with teaching kids about it.
Still introduce it.
I agree with teaching kids about it. What I don't agree with is having them do it every day or even once a week. I don't agree with having them say the words like that. All in unison, say it together. Be a part of a too often done ceremony, because I don't think this is something that when you say this should have the meaning behind it. This should have your true feeling and intent behind it. I mean, you can even go to the point of saying, you don't say that I love you to somebody until you can actually really say that you love that person. You don't say it too soon, because what you're doing then is that saying I love you, especially to like a romantic partner, that's almost in many ways making a promise. Even the asking the person to marry you and getting married to the person, that is a covenant and a promise. This can be and should be almost as equal a covenant to your country. You're pledging yourself to it.
You're not just pledging to the country, James. You're pledging to literally everyone else that sits in that classroom with you. You're pledging to them as well. You are pledging.
But we shouldn't have kids do that. That's the thing. Is kids.
When do you teach that unity and that equality and that respect between peers?
You can teach it without having them repeat it over and over again. You can teach them without having them say those words.
I agree with you in that.
Okay.
I agree with you.
So hold on. Time out.
Yeah.
Time out. So we agree that it should be taught, because we both
agree
that
it should be taught.
But
I agree it should be recited. I do not agree that it should be recited dronishly on a day-to-day basis where it just becomes words.
Okay.
Similarly to
I see what you're saying.
The idea, and I figured that was the idea we were coming with beforehand, playing the national anthem at the beginning of literally every football game and televising it for, because it takes away from the experience. Yes, I understand.
Okay.
Overdoing it is one thing. However, the Pledge of Allegiance in schools, personally, I think it should be there, but it should be reserved to a time where you teach those kids what it means to be an American.
Okay. That I completely agree with you on.
Okay.
So we're good. We're good. We were just getting words.
Yeah,
we were getting words crossed a little bit.
Yeah.
So we're good on the idea that we both agree that the idea of teaching the kids these things, and then it's great. It's the idea of them stopping at 8:45 in the morning and all standing up and throughout the whole school in every classroom droning these lines over and over again that they don't understand the meaning of, and they aren't really truly making their promise to the country. They're just saying these things in unison by rote.
I don't think. Yeah, I agree.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I hold it in the same. I obviously, as an American, hold it in the same sacred spot that you do. When it comes down to the pledge, don't make it some. And I'm not trying to necessarily, attack anybody or any type of organization or any particular religion, but I kind of tend to equate it to, it's a very, again, I don't mean this insultingly, but it's a very Catholic thing to do. It's just nothing but you sit and you listen.
All fathers and
boringly.
Our fathers and Hail
okay, and now we
and,
say this. Okay, and now we say this. It's the same sit, stand, kneel, recite, and also with you and kind of thing. But you still, in the middle of that, you still have at least some semblance of a Sunday school where you are learning the meaning behind those. When and that's the thing. The Pledge of Allegiance, you're saying to me, is something that should be as sacred as receiving communion, which makes total sense to me.
I mean, other than my. Yeah. Okay. I'll go with that.
It's just because it's meant to be.
It's on the sacred. Same. It's on the same. Or for those of them who are of any other Christian faith, non-Catholic Christian faith, baptismal.
Yes,
being baptized,
and that is something that should be reserved for in the degree of. That's a degree.
Actually, that's a great example.
Pledge.
If you went to church every Sunday and got baptized every Sunday. For all my non-Catholic Christians here that may be listening, if you went to church every single Sunday and was baptized every single Sunday, baptism would kind of lose its meaning and importance. And that's what I'm getting at here. Is this should have that sacredness?
Yeah, totally.
This should have that level of importance that you only do this so many times in your life, and when you do it, you are really meaning I am pledging myself to this country.
Yes.
This is my country. And I can say the reason I haven't done it since I was 17 is I've never felt that appropriate moment has been placed on my life to say these words and mean them in the right way. Does that mean I'm not an American? No, that doesn't mean that in the slightest bit.
No, not
Does that not mean that I wouldn't do anything to help and defend my country? I would. But I don't feel like I've had a moment where it's been appropriate for me to full out declare my straight allegiance to my country in the way that it would do it the proper honor.
Okay.
If that sounds right.
Yes.
At the proper moment.
Yes.
And that's a personal thing. That's a me thing. That's why when it does happen, I stand politely and I let everybody else do what they feel is necessary for their moment.
Yes.
I don't say it because I don't feel like I'm doing the right thing. Similar circumstance, since we did have a little tiny brush with religion there, when people gather up to pray about something, I usually, doesn't matter what religion they are for praying, I usually will excuse myself from the group to have them pray. Now, I've had people become angry with me for not being a part of the group and praying with them, and I've explained to them, I don't necessarily believe the same thing you do. I don't feel it would be appropriate for me to fake praying with you.
Yeah.
While you're trying to communicate with whatever you're trying to communicate with your deity, with your understanding of the universe, whatever it is, you're trying to communicate in that way and have your sacred moment in that. Somebody in there not a part of it, not believing in it, that doesn't add to your moment. That takes away from your moment.
Yeah.
I excuse myself because I'm trying to be respectful of you having your sacred moment and not having somebody who is bringing negativity or disbelief to your sacred moment.
Yeah.
And it's for some people, it's a weird version of respect, but to me, that's what I would, if I was in the same situation, I would want the same thing. I would want people to respect my way of doing things and not necessarily, don't fake it for me. If you don't believe, fine. Don't fake it for me. You know what I mean? Does
I can agree with that. I can agree with that. In that you did state that you still at least stand up for the pledge, right?
I do.
Okay, which is good. You're still in the room.
I do.
You know what I mean? Yeah, that's different because
I stand and I'm quiet. I don't. Now here's the thing.
Here's the thing. You can still be in the. I can understand and respect that you're still standing for the flag. You're still in the room. You may not recite the words, but you at least are there as an American.
Well,
and you may or may not consider that a time for you to recite that, and it may be a time for you to. Maybe this is something where you feel that you've already made that promise.
Let me make a comment here, just real quick.
Okay.
I am, however, supportive of the fact that there are some people, because actually it even says in the flag code that you should stand and do the pledge when the flag is presented for the pledge.
Okay.
So I know that. I will fully admit I am in violation of flag code by not doing the pledge.
I don't not do it.
I am in violation of the flag code.
When that's done, I do it.
When the national anthem plays, I will stand, but I will. And if I'm wearing a hat, I may take it off. I may not. It just depends on the situation. But I don't put my hand over my heart. I just stand.
I stand. I do the pledge, and I remove my hat.
I understand that I am in violation of flag code by doing that because flag code says to do that.
Yes.
It says to take your hat off, hand over the heart, do the pledge. I violate flag code by doing that. So for all the violations I said earlier about flag code and all the people violating it, if you know you're violating flag code and you want to do it anyway, hey, just realize that you know you're violating it and you're not being as patriotic as you think you are because you're violating flag code. I know when it comes to those things, I am violating the code.
Well, okay.
I understand that.
I've got a question for you. To consciously violate the code or to not consciously violate the code those are two different things.
True. Which is why I'm informing people about how the violations are so they can make the decision to violate or the decision not to.
Well, personally, it comes down to where does it come from? Where does it come from for you to do this? If you put on a pair of American flag parachute pants and dress up as an extra in Napoleon Dynamite, then that's your prerogative.
Well, and like I said, that it's, as with many things, it's not illegal. First of all, the flag code is there just to give you what is considered proper and appropriate. Okay. So it's not illegal. You can't be cited for any of these things.
Right.
It's just considered basically bad manners, disrespect.
Yeah, I could technically see that, but it depends on.
And
again,
see,
it depends on where you're coming from.
Well, and see if somebody,
at least that's where I see it.
If somebody wants to wear the parachute pants and be an extra in Napoleon Dynamite, as long as they realize okay, yeah, this is a violation of flag code. This would be possibly considered disrespectful to the flag. But you know what? for the reasons I'm doing it, I can be morally okay with that. That's fine.
Okay.
As long as you can as long as you have the knowledge and recognize that technically you would be in violation of these things. And the reason I want to make that clear is the people that I find that typically buy the shirts with the flags on them or the plates or the napkins, they're the people that are preaching patriotism at the top of their lungs, that are...
It just happens to be a funny...
They're getting down on people that are not wearing what they feel is patriotic stuff,
and buying the American flag Budweisers,
and they're not celebrating in the proper way. They get down on those people for not being patriotic. It's the hypocrisy of that.
I can understand that completely,
and that's why I'm trying to make it clear. I know when I stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and I stand for the national anthem and I don't participate with the hand over the heart or with reciting the words, I know I'm violating what is considered the flag code for that. I understand that I'm doing it. I'm doing it for my own reasons, and I'm doing it knowing that I can be construed as being disrespectful because of the violation of that. But for my own moral code in myself, I feel it's the appropriate thing for me to do.
Yeah.
In the same token, people who feel the need to protest by either sitting or, in the case of the former quarterback of the 49ers, Mr. Kaepernick, kneeling, which actually was told to him to do by
a Marine.
As being more respectful than the sitting.
Yep. That's why he kneeled.
Because he was still trying to be respectful as possible while still protesting.
I was wondering if that was going to come up in this conversation.
It wasn't until you started asking more questions.
Yeah.
But again, I understand the idea of being disrespectful with the flag burning, with some of the other things that are done. I understand the idea of being disrespectful with the intent of protesting, as long as you acknowledge that, yes, what I am doing is disrespectful, but I am doing it for a reason to make a point. Because at least then you're owning the fact that yes, you understand your action is disrespectful, but there is a reason for it. I'm not saying that always end justifies the means, but there are circumstances where that may be true. Sometimes the only way to make a point is by being a little bit disrespectful. Hell, sometimes the only way to make a point is an act of civil disobedience. Didn't you just say earlier the joke about pouring the Lipton into the river? Well, guess what? Acts of civil disobedience, like the Boston Tea Party, which half of that was civil disobedience.
That wasn't very civil.
half of that was actually completely and utterly engineered to happen.
Yeah.
Sometimes those type of acts are necessary for change to happen that's appropriate, change to happen that makes the world better, change to happen that makes this nation better. Keep in mind, we are a country that started off turning traitor against our mother country, breaking away and fighting a war to break away from our mother country.
Well, I would say
based on treason.
I have 2 points.
Kind of the point.
Technically speaking, yes, I am basing this on 2 points, or I have 2 points to make. First off, in direct response, we were betrayed first.
Well,
our mother country claimed sovereignty upon us when they didn't actually have it, because they didn't provide for us like they claimed that they were going to.
I understand there was reason for it.
That in itself was a violation of contract, which is why we turned.
I understand there was reason for it, but at the same time, we went against our home country and fought to be independent for it.
Because we were an oppressed people, and that's directly what was going on.
Would it have been considered disrespectful at the time? Hell yes.
Well, of course it was, because we're the quote-unquote subordinates, but we proved ourselves to not be that.
But again, it was the right thing to do.
Now, that being said, and it was the right thing to do. You're correct.
Yeah.
That being said, in relation to the thing with the flag, I've been kind of wanting to say this for a little bit, especially in response to what you say.
Please.
When it comes down to the flag, when the Pledge of Allegiance is recited, I do recite it.
Okay.
When the flag is up and I am supposed to salute, I wear a hat most of the time. I will remove my hat and I will salute. And when, that's my thing. The reason why I do that every time that it's done is because every time it happens, I am in a new room with a new group of people.
Okay.
And that group of people also represents my country. They could be foreign. They could be born here. They could be people that, who knows, maybe some of them aren't necessarily in this country legally. I don't give a rat's ass. What that comes down to is this country, the flag represents this country to me. And that also means that that flag represents that entire stadium worth of people or room worth of people that I am in. That includes anybody who may be in the military or may not be. That includes any of my closest friends. That includes complete strangers. But that promise to that flag and the promise to the country and to the people that are in that room along with me, that means that I am pledging allegiance to the civil rights of all of those people. I am pledging allegiance to essentially, maybe not like in the case of like a military grade protection, but if I see any injustices performed to those people, I am a person who will speak out, and I will use my rights as a civilian in order to defend them and any wrongdoing that is done to them.
Can I help you sum up?
Yes.
So basically what you're saying is, as I've kind of discussed this as being a covenant with your country, because covenant is a strong word that most people understand.
Yes.
They give a lot of weight to that.
Yeah.
The reason that you say it whenever you're presented with the moments to say it is, for you, you're making a fresh covenant with every single person that's there at that moment with you.
Yes.
And you're wanting to reassure yourself and maybe even them, even if they don't know it, you're making that covenant to make them equal with you as a citizen of this country.
Yeah, this country is made up of the people that occupy it.
I'm going to say this: while I have my reasons for doing what I do, and they are reasons I don't necessarily like to share as openly. I applaud you for, one, your openness in sharing that.
Thank you.
And two, I hope that anybody else listening is going to hear that and going to have a whole new viewpoint of doing the Pledge of Allegiance in a group of people, because that's an amazing, genuine, wonderful thing. And I would say if it was anybody other than you, I might actually worry that was like a completely manufactured answer.
Oh,
but
okay.
Honestly, I can see that you being the type of person that you are, the caring, in some ways almost selfless person that you can be sometimes. I can see that being very much true for you. I can see that each time you're in that moment, you're just connecting with every other person in there. Even if they don't even know you exist and don't care about you at all, you're still going to connect with them.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful, amazing thing. And you know what? I think we're going to end on that. I think we've given some good flag code information. Hopefully you guys have gone through this and not hated James for being unpatriotic, because I really am. I love this country. I just think we should. I just think my version of the respect of it is to make it more of a ceremony that happens only occasionally as opposed to all the time, because I think it deserves more respect than what I think we give it now. I think we make it too trite of a thing now. We should do it more ceremonial-like. That's the best way I can say it. I'm saying the words over again, but that's okay. I hope that you're able to take away Mike's viewpoint of this as really just probably the best viewpoint an American citizen should have, a real citizen of this country.
James. I appreciate that.
I guess if we were the Avengers, you would definitely be Captain America.
I wouldn't put myself there, but
you don't have America's ass? I know I don't have one. But anyway, all right. Thank you for listening. This has been a very interesting episode. Was it as bad as you thought it would be?
I don't think it was that bad.
Okay.
It was actually it was a chance for me to actually explain where I stood with all of it. That was nice.
I think that's fantastic, sir.
Yeah.
Applause for you.
Well, thank you.
All right. So if people want to find us, first of all, they can find us where, sir?
You can find us on our website, thexennialchronicles.com, or if you don't want to type that much, zencron.com, spelled Xenchron. You could also follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Xencron. If you're listening to us at any of these websites, you can go to our website to listen to us, or you might be listening to us on TuneIn or Google Podcast or Spotify. There's also YouTube as well. YouTube as well. YouTube, we actually have some videos. If you are listening to us on YouTube, go ahead and hit the like button. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. And when you do subscribe, hit the bell icon so that you can so you get notified when we put out a new podcast every week. And yeah, I believe our videos are also out on Facebook as well. So people who listen everywhere, man.
Listen to us. I actually told
almost everywhere.
I told my son today that we were on YouTube, because he asked me where I was going today, and I tell him, I'm going over to Mr. Mike's house. I'm going to do our thing, record our thing that we do. We're on YouTube now. He's like, "You're on YouTube?" He was so excited that I was on YouTube. So not like
the
video,
same,
not video and stuff. Just me talking. Oh, there's a few videos. It's mainly me talking. He was like, "Oh, okay." So yeah, I guess I raise in a little bit of status. But yes, please find us in all those places. Thank you for listening, and make sure this is big pointer for 4th of July, since this will be coming out that day. Count all your fingers beforehand. Count all your fingers after. Make sure you keep them.
Don't
on.
close your hand over the M80.
No, it's bad.
Probably shouldn't have M80s anyway. I think
No,
they're
those
illegal.
ones are illegal.
Okay.
Don't close your hand over any of them. It's bad. Light it and run. Mm-hmm. All right, we'll talk to you next week. We're out.
Have a good one.
Thank you for tuning in, friends. The journey continues next week.